When they do go into a salon or they go into a small business that has access and everything, you're around all these other dogs. Whereas when they're here in their own home, they're not having to have the stress of going in a car, not being around all the other dogs and doing all of that. So it just offers that calming presence.
So hey everybody, I'm here with April Estes with Sirius Dog Star Grooming and Healing, and she has a mobile dog grooming business here in town in Knoxville. You can reach her by texting her or calling her at 865-257-9202. And you can find her on the internet if you will Google Sirius, Sirius Dog Star Grooming and Healing. You'll find her Google business profile. And if you like this video, you can leave her a 5-star honest Google review about what you liked. You can contact her through her Google business profile. You can send her a text message. There's a link on the bottom of her Google business profile where you can go to her website. And her website, on her about on her website, you have the ability to click email her. So you can email her and request an appointment that way, or you can refer someone to her if you've got a friend or family that has a dog here in Knoxville that she can help, with grooming and stuff. You can find her that way as well. She's got a really strong Facebook presence, and she's got a really strong Instagram presence, and then you can find those links on her Google business profile as well. And so, April, thanks for joining us on our podcast here.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got 2 little Yorkies here that are going to be with us on the podcast today. This is Teddy, and this is Trudy, and then this is Teddy's little monkey. This is his favorite little squeaky toy that he's got. April actually is the groomer that takes care of our pups, and she actually comes here into our home and does it, and the dogs love her, and they cannot get enough of her when she's here. And Trudy does not like being cleaned, and so for Trudy to really like somebody to feel easy with them, it's really important to us. I think everyone's had bad experiences with that before. And so that's how we initially met April. April, thanks for being with us. So you want to explain the name of your business, and it's pronounced Reiki, what it means, and how it increases the dog's quality of life.
Sure. So Sirius Dog Star Grooming came about with the Sirius Dog Star that's out in the constellation, deals with dogs and everything. So it just seemed like, a fitting name for grooming the dogs and all of that. Yep. As far as with Reiki, Reiki is known as the universal life force, and it is on a higher spiritual level of things. So not only whenever I put my hands to send the Reiki energy through them, does just have an effect on their physical body, but it's also going through all of their different bodies, soul level, spiritual, just all the different layers. And to add in that peace and calming to their grooming experience, because when they do go into a salon or they go into a small business that has, the access and everything, you're around all these other dogs. You're got fluorescent lights.
Right.
I mean, you've got all of this noise that's going on. Whereas when they're here in their own home, they're not having to have the stress of going in a car, not being around all the other dogs and doing all of that. So it just offers that calming presence to them and everything, so that they can see that this was really not a bad experience to go through.
Yeah. How often do most people have their dogs groomed? Would you say, is there like an average, or?
It just depends. I usually recommend if they have short hair, if they're, say, a short-haired dachshund or things like that, say like 4 to 6 weeks for a bath.
Okay.
And toenail trim. Longer hair, you're looking at, say, 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
So it all depends on the breed.
Right.
And stuff like that.
How long have you been doing this type of work?
I've been doing this for past 5-6 years, I'd say. I started in 2019.
Right.
It's really slow, of course, and then pandemic.
Right. Everybody.
Pandemic, yeah. Pandemic hit, everything stopped. But when everything started to open back up, it was this whole deal of, I don't want to take my dog to a shop. I don't want to, I don't want them to be around, because we just didn't know the whole aspect of this virus that was going around.
Right.
We didn't know. So it was a comfort that people didn't have to go get their dogs out
Right.
and do all of that and everything. So it's just been over this period of time of learning how to be able to run this type of business so that the dogs are, that they're comfortable.
Yeah, the maximum comfort.
Yeah.
How did you get started?
I started out in 2017 at a big box store.
Right.
And my main goal was to get to that groomer status of things.
Right.
So, I mean, basically an apprenticeship. And that's where I saw where the dogs would come in and have just all kinds of anxieties and fears. And they're in these kennels for long periods of time. I mean, they have to have access to water.
Right.
I mean, they have to,
Yeah.
but you can't take them out. They can't play. If you notice that they're stressed out, it's not like you could just take them out and hold them and just be like, everything's going to be okay. And that just didn't set well with me, especially when I saw dogs that were just shake as soon as they walked in the door. So I got my experience through there and said, I'm moving forward. I'm going to start my own thing.
Nice. So you mentioned, so curious about your background in business, school of business classes. You mentioned your dad was a CPA.
Yeah.
So how has that been helpful?
My dad, with being the CPA, he knows how to set up the certain, like the tax forms and things
What's
like
your dad's
that.
name?
James Estes.
James Estes.
But he goes by Buddy.
Buddy.
Yeah, goes by Buddy.
That's a good dog name.
Yeah. Yeah, but he said, you go take care of your business and do what you have to do.
Right.
And he said, me being the CPA, he said, I'll take care of, having your taxes paid and what all it is that you need to get set up on the financial side, bookkeeping and all that.
Keeping track of all your stuff there. You mentioned your daughter Bailey is in school in Louisiana, majoring in accounting. Do you want to talk about your daughter?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's been through a lot, but I'm just highly impressed with the way that she has just flourished after hitting a little rough patch. And when she said that she was going into accounting, I said, that's a big change.
Yeah, it is.
She was talking about culinary, and then now she's accounting.
Right.
So I joked with her. I said, maybe we could get you out of Louisiana and move you up here. You could help me with the business aspect.
Right, exactly.
Of things.
Yeah. So accounting, most people don't know this, but I'll go ahead and, I'm not even sure if you know this, but the Ramsey Solution team says that there's 5 fields that people will go into that will give them a net worth of $1 million more regularly than not. And accounting is one of those top 5. So you've got your business owner, which is where you are. You got school teachers, you have attorneys, you have accounting, and then you have engineering. So those are the top 5 as far as building $1 million net worth. So that's really good that you and your daughter are both part of that. So, and I think it's about the systems and the regularity, and they get into like teachers. Everyone knows teachers don't make a crazy living, but they have the system set up to where they save for their retirement, and they just forget about it, and they just keep doing it, and so so that's good. So that's good that you both are on your way to having a net worth of $1 million.
Right.
In the mornings, do you have to have an alarm clock to wake up?
Yeah, I have to have an alarm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if the alarm doesn't go off, then
if it doesn't go off, then I'll wake up and I have my appointment set for certain things, and it's like, oh no, the alarm didn't go off. I have maybe an hour or 30 minutes to be able to get, and it's just like hustle, and then it's like that completely throws off everything because then I'm stressed out and the dogs feel it. And I'm just like.
So you're more of a night person, would you say?
Typically more of a night person because it takes me a while to wind down.
I got
and
you.
everything.
So coffee? Are you a coffee drinker?
Oh yeah.
Is there a specific type of coffee, or do you have a special coffee maker that you prefer?
A specific type of coffee.
Yeah.
It's always going to be community coffee.
You like community coffee?
Which is out of Louisiana.
I've never had it. Never had it, so I'll try some.
Yeah.
I've seen it for sale at the Walmart and Kroger.
Yeah, but community coffee, I mean, that's something that I grew up on.
So it tastes delicious to you.
Oh yeah, especially the chicory mix with it. It's a coffee and chicory.
Yeah.
The chicory adds a little kick in there to it and stuff like that.
Nice.
So.
Do you use sugar, non-sugar? Do you use coffee creamers, soy milk? I mean,
it just depends. But
you drink it black?
I'll alternate between either drinking it black or getting oat an oat.
Oh, like an oat milk?
Like an oat milk
Yeah.
creamer to
Nice.
put in there.
That's cool. We're coffee drinkers as well. Do you have a special type of coffee maker that you use?
Not necessarily. I mean,
Okay. Cool. We have an espresso maker that we use, a very specific coffee maker, and it makes it as strong as you want it. And it will wake you up. You can feel it going through your, if you don't have it first thing in the morning, you can feel it going through your veins when you finally take a couple of drinks. So everyone in my family knows about my coffee maker.
Yeah.
So tell us about a book that that you've read in the past that's had an impression on you that you would recommend, and talk about kind of the impact it had on you.
well, it's the book called The Alchemist. It's one that's known. I can't really pronounce the author's name
Right.
or anything.
Yeah.
But it's just basically on the side of things that you can have people come into your life that will change the trajectory of what it is you may have already planned out for your life.
Right.
So like if you've already said, I'm going to say marry a celebrity or something like that,
Sure.
or whatever. But then there could be other people that come on your path.
Right.
And it changes that trajectory
Right.
of things. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to marry this particular celebrity, but there's this person that I met on this journey.
Yeah,
And
right.
so that's more the person for me
Sure.
than, that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So the author is it Paulo Coelho?
Yeah.
That sound right? So it's
Paulo
yeah. So it's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's Paulo and it's Coelho is that's the author. So it's got a lot of reviews on Amazon here. Wow, I've never even heard of that book before. So was it an easy read?
Pretty much an easy read, but you can see the stages of the main character going on their path.
Right.
Saying, I'm going to do this, and then they meet this other person. Well, it's another thing too, that you could change somebody else's life. Somebody can change yours, but you could change somebody else's life.
Right, exactly,
too.
yeah. Yeah, we kind of talked about that earlier, the human factor. I think as we're interacting with each other out in the world, you can have an effect on people, not even know the effect that you're having. I read a Facebook post the other day where they were talking about being kind, and people that have had an effect on you before, just saying something nice, somebody you never see again will make a comment about your shirt or something, and then like you remember it 20 years later.
Right.
A lot of guys will remember people complimenting their smile or just something super simple like that, and then that's like the one thing they talk about when they talk about someone having an interaction with them that was really cool. Like 30 years later, somebody told you had a nice smile. One time in your whole life.
Right.
So I try to go out of my way to compliment people sometimes. I'll just compliment somebody on their shoes, and they're just wearing a pair of brown leather shoes. I'm like, man, I really like your shoes.
Yeah.
And just look at them and smile, and it's like crazy to see the response. So
Yeah.
when you said that about The Alchemist, that reminds me of a quote I heard one time. The quote was, life is what happens while you're making other plans. And so I strongly agree with that. I'm going to get that book and I'm going to read
Yeah.
it. So I like that. All right, so you mentioned you grew up in a Southern Baptist family, and you mentioned spirituality is important to you. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. With growing up in the Southern Baptist deal, that was my foundation that caused me to, expand out more. It was to know that there's more that's outside than, what is, say, in a certain denomination, that there's more things that are out there. It was one thing that I remember being told is, you can't put spirituality in a box,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's ever expanding
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I feel like that's helped me on my journey, but also in my business, because it helps at times to connect with people on certain levels.
Right.
And everything. So, if I go into somebody's home and they want to talk about like certain religious things or whatever, I feel like I've got that knowledge because of having, again, expanded
Right.
out.
Yeah,
So
knowledge is power as far as I'm concerned. So,
the deal with like Appalachian magic and everything that starts in the Bible, if it's like, if you want to pray over salt, go to the Lord's Prayer and you pray that over it. Or if you're for protection, go to this particular verse in the Bible. So there are, it still plays a certain role in my life and the things that I do.
that's cool. I didn't know that. I do know the Lord's Prayer, of course. We also grew up in a religious home, and so, but I didn't know that. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that. So I just learned something from you. So So you were talking about your dog, Toby, and you want to tell everyone about him? You showed me a picture of him.
Right.
We'll have a picture of him on the podcast here at this point.
Yeah. Basically, we walked into a rescue somewhere, and we'd looked at other dogs, and then we came back, and there was this little Cairn Terrier Schnauzer, and he was just like ready to get out of the kennel, just like, I'm ready to go, ready to go, ready to go. So as soon as we got him out, it's like he took off, and I said, no, this is who we're gonna get. I feel it. Right. So my daughter had said, okay, well, I want this other one, and I said, no, we're gonna go with him. We're gonna go with Toby. And so he's been with me since 2011. So he's now, 13, 14 years old in that time frame of things. So
your daughter was 6 roughly when you got him.
6 or 7.
Wow, yeah.
Now she's 20.
She was there the day you got him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And he's a little black dog. You said he's a Cairn Terrier Schnauzer mix. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's the alpha male, the run of the house, So I cannot get another dog.
Oh.
And everything.
Has he had pups or anything, or?
No.
Okay. He was fixed when you got him.
He was fixed whenever I got him, but he decided at 6 years old he didn't like other dogs.
Does he like going like on road trips and stuff with you, or?
He doesn't mind going. I mean, he gets in the front seat and he falls asleep.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Trudy here, when we're on a road trip, Trudy gets on my left knee and stares out the windshield the whole time we're driving, if I let her. And then Teddy is he's not a car person. He does not like going on rides. He's got a very weak stomach in the mountains over here, so we always have to prepare for that. Probably some medicine you can give a dog. Yeah. That I'm not aware of.
It just depends.
So where did you grow up and where did you go to school?
So I grew up in Louisiana. I was originally born in Shreveport. Lived there till I was 12. And then we moved to Baton Rouge, give or take a couple of months after I turned 12. And so I stayed in Baton Rouge up until 2022. And then I moved up here. So I have family that's in Morristown.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to be closer.
Sure.
Closer.
What family lives in Morristown?
It's my papaw.
Oh, nice. Your grandfather's over there. Nice. What's his name?
His name is Jack.
And what did Jack do?
He was construction worker.
Okay, very good.
Did construction.
And Morristown isn't very far from here at all.
No.
Yeah. It's what, an hour maybe? 45 minutes?
Yeah. An hour, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, a friend of mine, he and his wife had their baby there in the hospital, and so I went up there and visited them. So you grew up in coastal cities.
Yeah.
Your whole life. So does the salt water, the salt in the air, is that a part of who you are now? I mean, you feel home when you go to the beach, or?
It's kind of, when people complain about the humidity, that's the one thing that I tell people. I'm like, the humidity here in the mountains is no comparison.
Yeah.
No comparison to when you're in Baton Rouge or, when you're in the coastal.
So it's more humid there or less humid?
It's more humid there.
Oh, wow.
Than it is here. I mean, there are times you can just step out of your house and you start to sweat. I mean, you've only just stepped out and you haven't done anything physical.
Right.
Or anything. A few times it's happened here, but not.
Like you could cut it with a knife.
Yeah. But down south, it's completely different.
Yeah. So we've been to Florida a lot. I've never been to Louisiana, never been to the southern coast of Alabama, but Pensacola, Panama City Beach, and then, of course, Stephanie's son Kevin lives in Tampa, and of course a couple of years ago we went to Cocoa Beach there and got to see one of the rockets take off. So we've spent a lot of time down there. I lived in Orlando for a short period of time. Orlando was like living in an oven, so maybe that's like Louisiana.
Yeah.
And then yesterday we got back from Myrtle Beach, and Myrtle Beach was nice. It was hot, but it was not humid like that at all. So
yeah, it's a difference. I mean, Myrtle Beach is more or less, I'd say, the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
As in comparison to the Gulf.
The Gulf,
right. I feel like there's a difference.
Yeah, I feel like you're Louisiana, you're getting down there close to Texas. I feel like that's a special kind of heat down there. Yeah. You hear about it on the news all the time.
Oh, yeah. Summers, my parents are experiencing really bad storms, actually. Like,
oh, wow.
Like, every day they're getting horrible thunderstorms that are come through, knocking trees down, or floods, or whatever else is going on. So
Right.
it's worse than, we think, oh man, we've
Yeah.
had all of this rain and all these things going on here. And it's like, they're dealing with it every day, just about.
So what animals did you, like wild animals, did you have crocodiles and like snakes and all that growing up, or?
Oh no, no. As far as, I had dogs and cats.
But like wild animals, like predators, did you have anything like that growing up?
Not,
You got sharks, you got all that.
not necessarily. Unless we went to one of the lakes around there,
Okay,
or something
gotcha.
like that, like out at LSU Lakes or something.
Yeah. So it wasn't a dangerous place to grow
Oh
up.
no, no. Only if you were gonna go look for it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna go down to the bayou, or something. There's alligators down in the bayou and all that type kind of stuff.
Right.
If you're looking for that, but
So you weren't by the bayou necessarily. You were just in the general area there.
I was in the general area. I used to live on the bayou whenever I was married for a short period of time.
Yeah.
And everything. But we never had alligators that would just crawl up onto the bank.
You didn't open the door and there's like a tiger sitting there staring at you or something.
Yeah, or, snakes coming out,
Yeah.
none of that crazy type kind of stuff.
So there's a movie that I saw that I'm going to recommend you see, and I'm curious if you've seen it, but it was called The Blue Bayou with Alicia Vikander. Have you heard of that movie or seen that movie?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, so that's Louisiana. So she and her husband, the movie takes place in the bayou, and he's Korean. He actually was brought over from Korea when he was a baby, like he was like 2 months old. He was adopted by an American family. They never did the paperwork correctly. So he was actually still Korean. He was not Korean American, but he's lived here his entire life. And the actor that's in that movie, the main actor, I can't think of his name right now, but he's Korean. But he has a very, very, very strong Bayou accent. I don't hear it in your voice at all.
No,
So,
that's one thing. People are just like, you don't sound like you're from Louisiana.
Yeah.
But I have to tell people, I was originally born in the northwestern part of the state.
yeah, there you go.
So you're going to get a mixture of East Texas
Right.
and whatever is what they call the Arklatex,
Right.
which is right up there.
Yeah.
As a comparison, if you were around somebody, say, from Lafayette or Lake Charles, or even, what's known as a place called Plaquemine and everything where I used to live at. If you were to hear my ex-husband talk, you could hear
Oh,
he's
he
got
has a
accent.
strong,
He's got that strong deal.
Yeah.
Mine's just completely different. Somebody had once told me, they said, you sound like you're from Southern Ohio. And I'm like, I'm pure Southern through and through.
Yeah. You just talk like you're smart. That's what people tell me. I've lived in Tennessee since I was 11 years old, but your language develops prior to that. And I lived in Michigan prior to that. So when people are talking, hearing me, they can hear my sinusy, nasally, and they're like, you're not from around here, are you? I'm like, well, I'm 50. I've lived here my entire life. But yeah, when I was a little boy, we did live in Michigan. And so I guess I'm a Yankee. I don't know. What's the favorite part about your job?
Favorite part is being able to work with all the different, dogs.
Right.
And all the different, there's people that I get to meet. They was like, if I wasn't in this industry, I'd probably never met. I'd probably never met this person. I've met a retired AP journalist, like photographer,
Yeah, right.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
The Associated Press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She talked about going over to Ireland whenever the Protestant Catholic deal that was going on.
Yeah.
And so I was like, if I wouldn't have, been I probably would never have met her.
Been able to interact with her.
Or interacted with her, and just all the people from different walks of life who are radiologists and musicians, do acting, and it's just like, you just never know who's home.
Right, exactly,
You're walking into.
Do you get a lot of repeat business?
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I bet that's a very strong part of your business. At some point, you won't be able to handle anymore. You'll have to start bringing employees on, so...
Yeah, and that's what somebody had told me. They said, you're gonna get to that point. They're like, never say never, because you will. You will get to that point.
Right. And then you mentioned you got a brother. Would you like to talk about him and what he does, and maybe his impact on you growing up?
So he is a football coach.
What's his name?
James Estes Jr.
James Estes Jr. Okay.
Yeah, so he's a junior.
Does he go by Buddy too? Or?
Oh no.
Okay.
No, he goes by James. Right. That's how they differentiated. My dad's always gone by Buddy.
Yeah.
And then my brother's just been James.
Yeah.
It's been that way. But I would say he's had an impact on my life. as far as seeing that he's been in a steady marriage, a steady job. He's
Right.
got three grown children.
Right.
And, whenever I was growing up, I wasn't that easy to handle at times.
Right.
And so if my parents were just like, we can't get through to her, here's my brother coming in,
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, you're not listening to mom and dad.
Yeah.
I'm going to get through to you.
From this point of view, maybe from your
Yeah.
sibling. Yeah.
So, he's always told me, he said, I'm proud of what it is that you're doing. He's like, for you to go move to a place where you don't know anybody and just say, I'm going to start over.
Why did you choose Knoxville and not Morristown?
I don't know. I've had a draw to Knoxville since
Right.
2001, actually.
Cool.
When I first came to go to Morristown to visit with my papa.
Right.
And everything. So it was just like Knoxville felt more, at home for me.
Right.
After coming in and checking everything out.
Plus, it's a bigger population. I moved here with my two kids 17 years ago, and we moved here because there was more opportunity. I had a friend here also, and so we had that. I didn't move here just not knowing anyone.
Right.
And I had a job. I took a promotion to come here, but I wasn't with that company very long after that. But being from such a small population where there's limited opportunity, you're going to work in a factory or you're going to become a policeman or something or work at the Walmart. Here, 175,000 people. And then when you start adding, Seymour and Sevierville and Gatlinburg and, the Great Smoky Mountains, there's a massive population here. There's a lot of opportunity here.
Right.
There really is.
Right.
And there's opportunity here that you don't get when you get into bigger cities like New York City and DC and Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the one thing. Baton Rouge is a decent size. It's also a college town, but there's just not that expansion. I felt limited. Nobody really. I don't see where it was taking off.
Right.
But I can say that since I've left, I have found out that there are people going into the house call more so in Baton Rouge since I left. So I kind of look at it as starting planting the seed for it, because more people have been asking, I need somebody to come to my house. I don't necessarily want a grooming van out there and everything. So I've got a friend who's that's what she does now on weekends is house call, and it's down there in Baton Rouge. And
Cool.
So she was just like, you're the one that inspired me to do it.
Aww.
You're the one that inspired me to do it. So
maybe you'll write a book one of these days talking about your experience with your business.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So the last question is, do you use any specific products or equipment for grooming, and are they safe for dogs with sensitive skin and allergies?
I always ask the owner, do they have skin allergies, right off of the bat?
Right.
Do they have any skin allergies? If they do, I'll use an oatmeal shampoo, something that's gentle. But I honestly don't use a lot of fragranted, over-perfumey type kind of stuff and everything. If I do use anything, it's going to be cruelty-free, alcohol-free. It's, natural, organic type kind of deal. And everything is organic as possible as I can get to it. As far as equipment, I've got my own table that I bring in. And, if they're an older dog, I don't put the loop, per se, around their neck because of collapsed trachea issues or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'll have a certain way that I loop around.
Right.
So they're still safe and everything, but it's not going to cause a choking issue around their neck. Especially with Yorkies, they're more prone to having that.
100%. Yeah, we have little necklaces on them with their name tags, but we don't use this for walks.
Oh,
we
no.
have body harnesses that we use.
Yeah. So that's basically. I take special care in, asking all the questions. If they have arthritis, are there skin issues? There's their heart problems. Are they on any kind of medication?
Sure.
So, I don't just go in and set up and I'm going to do this. I'm thorough in what it is that I do on things with the dog so that they're comfortable and it's not going to put them in any kind of pain or cause any, if they're in pain, not to cause more pain on them. So, if they have skin issues and they've been to the vet, then I'll ask the owner, do you have the shampoo from the vet?
Right, exactly.
Yep.
That's good. So we haven't talked about this question. I'm going to surprise you with this one, and you answer it how you want to. But tell us about, you don't have to go into names and details and stuff like that, but tell us about a dog that you have attempted to groom that was difficult as far as like he wasn't super comfortable with you at first, and then what you did to calm him down a little bit and then have a successful session or sessions with him.
One dog immediately comes to mind, and sadly, she passed away last year. It was a friend of mine that recommended that this guy that they know of have me go out to his house and groom his dog. And her name was Vida, Vida, I believe.
The dog's name was Vida?
Vida.
Yeah. What kind of dog was she?
She was, I'd say a terrier mix, but she was a bigger,
Oh, okay.
bigger type kind of dog. And so he couldn't lift her up in in the car and everything. And he's like, I just need somebody to come out. And I could tell, she was not happy with doing that.
Yeah.
But I learned to work with her on things. And I talk to the dogs all the time.
Yeah.
And so she was difficult in the beginning. I mean, I was going around on the visor.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she just, without warning, like bit my thumb or finger or something like that.
Yeah.
And I said, I told the owner, I said, I just need to clean up. He's like, are you going to leave? Or are you going to? I said, I'm pouring a bunch of peroxide in this and we're going to finish.
Sure.
And he's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But each time I went back, she was more comfortable.
Right.
And more comfortable.
Right.
And then, I was just like, okay, now I know her temperament. I know the certain things and just have to reassure her.
Right.
Everything's good. Everything is fine.
Right.
But whenever I found out that she'd passed away, it was a hard thing for me to. It's always hard when you have those senior dogs that pass away because you develop a relationship with them and everything. So it was, and that's what I tell people with the dogs that are difficult, keeping them in that routine of things, and the more they see me, they're more in that routine. I mean, it's the same thing with another dog that I recently did. I always had to muzzle him.
Yeah,
Like I
don't think that's pretty common.
Yeah.
For
having to do. But recently, whenever I went to go do him, I wasn't having to use the muzzle as much. And she was just like, I was scared he was going to bite or do whatever. I said, no, we're to a point where, I tell him what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about.
And plus they're more used to you too over time. So
whenever my deal about it is too, whenever you're dropping them off at, say, like a Petco or PetSense or whatever business, they may not be getting the same groomer.
Right. Exactly. Yep. You don't have the continuity there.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go to a private shop or you're with me, that's who you get.
That's it. Yeah. No surprises.
Yeah.
So, and you work, what are your hours that you work? Do you work 7 days a week or do you work?
I usually work with a break in the week. So Monday through Wednesday.
Right.
And then Friday, Saturday is whenever I work. So appointments start at 10 o'clock in the morning. And, it just depends on location wise.
Right. You do your last appointment at like 5 or 6 or 4 or?
Usually just depends, on the client.
Right.
If they need somebody to be there after work.
So you will work later if somebody needs you.
Yeah, if somebody needs me.
Yeah, we kind of had this conversation earlier. We trust you, of course. You're here in our home, and we've always had a really good feeling about you. And so I could see the possibility of you. Obviously the first time the client with the owner would be there, but I could see you coming in and doing the work and then leaving and completely unsupervised. Even when someone's at work,
Right.
So, we have 2 dogs. I know you do 2 dogs. Does anybody have 3 dogs?
I recently did 3 dogs.
Yeah.
And then there was somebody.
Is there a break you give people when you have 3 dogs in one spot, or how does that work?
As far as with
pricing,
yeah. I charge them all.
Okay, so it's the same thing. I gotcha.
Yes, it's all the same thing. I mean, people have been like, well, I have 5 dogs. Can you at least? And it's like, I'd love to be able to have enough business to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But
and not every dog needs to be groomed. I mean, we all know that, some dogs don't need to be groomed.
Right.
You may just go in and bathe them,
right.
Clean up their feet, cut their toenails, and that may be, what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would make sense. So,
Mm-hmm.
one last funny thought that I have. Do you speak any foreign languages?
I mean, I've taught myself just a few, but I mean, I can't really
Yeah.
speak full.
Sure.
Sentence.
So what language do you feel most comfortable with besides English?
I know a little bit of Spanish.
So do you know what the word vida means in Spanish?
I'm not sure.
Life.
Life.
Yeah. That's what that dog's name meant in Spanish, was life.
Okay.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So April would love to have your business. Again, she's with Sirius Dog Star Grooming and Healing, and Sirius is like the Sirius FM, Sirius. And you can call or text her at 865-257-9202. And April, thank you for being on our YouTube channel today.
I appreciate you calling me in.
Absolutely, and we appreciate it.
Do you want to promote your business on our podcast? You can give us a call or shoot us a text at 865-687-7100. You can also apply by filling out our Google form in the description box.